Elaine, do we have anything
More
else
would you
you
rather?
wanna? Would you rather?
No, no, no more, no more. Like
No. Okay.
I've exhausted my mental capacity of thinking more questions.
Would you rather do the next episode on Zoom or live?
Yeah, challenges in maintaining old and making new friends. So Winnie, do you want to share with us like your experiences, like of how your friendships have changed after graduating?
Well, for university, I think I could maintain a lot of Hong Kong. Like since I'm now like in Hong Kong, so I think I've been like doing pretty well, like maintaining friends who are also from Hong Kong at university. But in terms of those from abroad, like even like Germany, some in Malaysia, or in the UK, I think most of the time I'm just really trying to figure out times to like FaceTime, Zoom, or like just keeping in touch and through social media. I think that's the most that we can do for now. But I remember last year, my friend and I, we invited like two of our UK friends to visit Hong Kong as well, and that's pretty fun. So if there's a bit of time and opportunity to like do some traveling, like for them to come over, that is also a great way to maintain a friendship and just to like give them new exposures. Because like it's quite surprising that well, not surprising, but like I think it's great to allow your friends to travel over the world from Europe to Hong Kong, because like most of my European friends aren't that exposed to like the Asian part of the world. So we'd be like, yeah, we'll take you around when you come, and they'll be like really happy to do that. And yeah, I'm pretty thankful for like opportunities like that to really keep the connections with international friends through traveling. But like the pandemic right now is really hard to work on that. But yeah, for now it's mostly social media, and yeah.
Yeah, I totally relate because I graduated 2 years ago, and like me and my like flatmates from university,
Yeah.
they like we because even when we lived together, our schedules never really matched up where we could all like the four of us could travel someplace during like term breaks. So like we decided to do a graduation trip, and we actually like we spent months planning for it, and we decided where to go, when to go, like because like most of us had full-time jobs as well, so like it was really hard.
That's true.
And just when we decided to go on the trip, like COVID happened, and we just couldn't make it. So
Yeah, it's pretty sad. We wanted to do graduation trips as well, but yeah, I mean, it's good that we have the travel bubble right now, right? Like
oh
we might be able to go to Thailand or Singapore, but yeah, but things are still quite
uncertain.
uncertain. Yeah. We don't know what to do. But yeah, for now we're just bear with it. Like, go with the flow. Whatever comes, we'll just, you know, go with the flow.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys spoke a lot about maintaining current friendships obviously because everyone is in different places. But how did you go about making friends when you first went to a new place? Because there's always a transition period.
Right.
I always found that was that was one of the most interesting parts of meeting people. So, Winnie, do you have any stories or thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I've met a lot of my friends at university. Yeah, I'll be focusing my sharing on university, because I think that's the most interesting part of my journey through making friendships. So at university, I joined a lot of societies. It's like work has like a range of societies that people can join. So during the society events, like taster sessions, like those are the sessions that introduces people to the societies, like to tell them what they're about and like have a taste of what they do in their and regularly. So at those events, I think because most of the people there, they're also new to the society and they're new to the campus, new to the whole university life. So it would be much easier to make friends there because of how people are just fresh off the boat and eager. Everyone is really eager to make friends, right? So just to start off, reach out and like start off conversations with just anybody you meet, and don't be afraid to talk, and just ask, like just giving small talks is I know that a lot of people might have anxiety through small talks, but it's just the best way, or like the most effective way to starting off a friendship, just to let people know who you are a bit and where you're from, why you're interested in joining the society or the university, and just all these small talks just really hit the things off, right? So yeah, that's what I did in university. And I think in high school, if there are not as many societies to join, high school is really just to like whoever you sit next to, because there's this like classroom setting where like people sit right next to each other, or like in Canada there'd be like for me there'd be like groups of like people in a circular table, and just to again just don't be afraid to talk to people and just say whatever you have, even random things in your mind, because I think the best way for me to make friends is just me being random for some reason, because if you're random to a person, then they'll be like why are you saying that to me? But okay, yeah, I think that's pretty interesting, that's fun. So I think that's a great way to really start off a conversation and hit things off, because people think you're just lighthearted and easy to talk to, easygoing. What about you, Elaine?
Oh yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
it's sort of similar in that, like, I actually, most of my closer friends that I made in uni were actually people who weren't in my course. So
Right.
I did meet most of them through sort of orientation or societies, but the funny thing is, like, we'd meet there and then we'd both leave the society.
That's
So
true. That's true.
yeah, so like we relate was like, oh yeah, I wanted to join, but then it's like meh. So like, let's just go.
That's true.
And have our own fun. So like, because especially in the UK, the pub culture is so strong that like like weekly meet, like not even weekly, just monthly gatherings, like society gatherings, were just literally like, oh, let's drink in a pub. That was pretty much it, which is, I mean, I can see why it's fun, but then it just wasn't really for me, because like I like socializing, but just not meeting new people in a place where it's dark and loud and everyone's under the influence of alcohol, because it's like, to me that's just like I would rather have that sort of fun after we get to know each other better. I sound like I'm trying to go to like find dates, but really for friendships, I think like but yeah, no, it's just like
I get
right.
Especially I don't think, well, it's not that I want to shut this idea off, but like meeting people at like pubs or like clubs, again, the first issue is that the music is too loud and you can't really hear people clearly, and like everybody's there for different purposes. So so you never know you never know like whether that person's purpose is the same as yours. Like it could be like platonic or romantic or even like sexual, non-sexual, whatever. But yeah, I think clubs and pubs aren't the most ideal place to make friends with at. But the friends that I've been maintaining best is the friends that I've been living with. So I've managed to live with more than 3 people in my second and third year. So I think for anyone out there looking for places to stay for university, like accommodations, I think trying to rally more than 3 people. So at my house, I had 6 people in total. So that really gave me a good base of a friendship group to always like be able to lean back on whenever I have trouble, and just to, we have these regular house hangouts and just like watch a film at night on Friday nights. And that's a great way to really make friends, like, because we didn't know each other at first, right? So I think living with different people and with a good number of people is a great way to make friends and also to maintain that friendship. Yeah, that's one aspect of making friends, I think.
Yeah. And also to not be too discouraged if, like, even after like trying to interact with them, that you don't get along, because not everyone can get along. Well, I mean, which is, I think, why definitely making new friends is easiest when you're in school or like university, because like the community itself is quite structured, and also everyone's very like, just I think just more open to meeting new people, like with that sort of mindset. But I think the struggle really for me, also what I want to talk about today, is like how to make new friends after you graduate.
Right.
Yeah,
I think, well, I don't think I have a lot of experience on that for now because it's like the pandemic. But okay, I think just really try to make time for Skype calls, and even it doesn't have to be like catch-ups. Like catch-ups are the most common way to maintain a friendship. Well, I'm just gonna start with maintaining friendships through Skype calls or social media. Also, like even games, like there's a current trend of people playing Among Us now. That's like that's a great game. So I've been playing with different people online for Among Us, and there's been like people from abroad as well. So I think that's a great way to maintain a friendship through games. But in terms of like making new friends, I think just being willing to know people through other people as well. So like, in Chinese there's like friend that friend, right? Some people are doing masters, so like they might be meeting new people from their master courses. So yeah, be willing to talk to them as well. Be like, oh, I'm friends with, for example, Jane, but Jane told me that she's met you at college. We've had like a mutual friend, so that's also a way to build a connection with other people that you don't know, if there's the barrier of really meeting people yourself, so you can meet other people through your other friend, right?
Yeah, I think definitely I've been more open recently also, because like I even asked some of my Christian friends who are quite active in joining church activities, because I think it's because I think like a few months ago I had like I felt particularly lonely, because just coincidentally all my friends, like either in Hong Kong or abroad, were just like busy with either work or socializing with like their new friends or just other friendship circles. And like particularly my Christian friends, like because they join like fellowships, they have a lot of Bible studies, and just other sorts of gatherings. And I asked some of them, can I join you guys, but like I'm not a Christian. Yeah, they're completely open group. So yeah, like definitely
Exactly.
yeah, just like ask.
You never know who's open and who's not open. Like there can be people who's like as anxious as you are. Like I'd say I'm a pretty anxious person, but like being able to take that step out of your comfort zone is the one of the most fulfilling achievement that you could have in life. Being able to step out, like take that move, and that's what I've been saying, is that you never know who out there is willing to be open and who's not. But if you're able to, what there's a phrase, don't put all your nest wait
yeah oh phrase? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Jung's Atmong is a good method to reach out to people, because you never know who's open and who's not. But the chances that people are open to making friends with you is quite high, I think, surprisingly. So really, I think my advice would be Jung's Atmong. Make sure you're behaving in this socially acceptable way, but also try to reach out, and don't be afraid to talk to people, because like people are most likely open to talking to you as well. So the reciprocation would be also of a high likelihood. Yeah, I think that's what I believe, but it's experimental, right?
Yeah. Like you got to put yourself out there, because like I think if you stay passive all the time, then it's a two-way street, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. How about you guys, Jose and Wing?
What are some views from the millennial generation?
Yeah, you've seen it all.
Yeah, you guys are more experienced than us.
I'll let Jose answer that. He has more friends, so.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. I'm actually pretty bad at maintaining friends, I would say, especially when like growing up, my family moved to Vancouver, right? So like I kind of lost some friends during when I was like at school in Hong Kong, elementary school in Hong Kong, and then moved to like high school, and then like I don't know, I'm just like not very good at maintaining old friends. But in terms of how to make new friends, the friends that I have now, how did I meet them? I met a lot of them through like, for example, Wing, I met from like MBA, and then there are some friends that I met, new friends after uni. I met them like from taking my master's degree. So like a lot of times it's like, oh, we go into a new setting, we have like a common goal, and then we just sort of bond at that time, and then we kind of like just maintain the friendship from there. Yeah, and a lot of times they would introduce you to their friends as well. So like, yeah, as you said, like friend just now. I think that's like something that's like the strategy that I've been using since after uni, basically. Yeah, I'm not very good at making friends or maintaining friendships.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that like I still talk to Wing now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people might be concerned about making lots of friends, like that. People might think that's a way to go in life, but actually, I think the number of friends that you make is not important, but the depth that you go into in a friendship, really. So if you're close with a certain person who you could just be that one anchor in your life, I think that's enough sometimes for me. Yeah. So sometimes if you're just making friends and they're all, you know, superficial and you can't really do much with them, then and it doesn't and it might be impacting your life in certain ways that are negative and might be affecting your mental health, then I think it's a good reason to cut off friendships like that. But also remember that like the number of friends that you have is really not significant. But like Jose and Wayne, you guys have a really close friendship and bond. I really would appreciate something like that, and I really admire relationships like that. So yeah. Actually.
So that's I think this is good to hear all the thoughts, because I mean, I think one of the reasons why becomes harder to make friends is because your expectation of friendship evolves. So, honestly, at the start when you were younger, and you really mentioned, hey, you have a lot of friends who you say hi to in the streets. Honestly, that used to give me a great feeling. As someone who wasn't that social, in high school, at university, when you walk down the street to buy, you go to the supermarket and you see like 8 to 10 people that you know in the supermarket. I thought, hey, that was a cool thing, right? At that time, it was a cool thing for me. Now I'm like, don't bother me, right? I just want to buy my stuff so I can go home. So it kind of evolves a little bit. So I think that's one reason why it becomes harder. But the second thing, and I think a more kind of constructive thought is that, as Winnie and Elaine both mentioned, and as well, it's really about creating a collective group experience which you're going through together. So at school, it was because you went through this academic and extracurricular challenge. At work is because, for example, now I work in entrepreneurship. We have common challenges that we can relate to each other, and then I guess you come out to whether it's events or whether it's actually some practical needs you need to meet people. I think when you get older, it's becoming about creating that group experience yourself, because sometimes it's not as easy as at school where you have societies and and even like, so you play sports, it's really easy to play sports at university because you actually allocated the time for that. But whereas in working life or in family life, actually carving out a time to justify going to play sports, it becomes a little bit more challenging. So I think a lot of the challenges actually comes from the fact that your time is more scarce, and there's just more things to deal with. So I think the most important thing is to kind of make sure you have a healthy allocation. That I'm going out now, and this is what I'm looking for. So you mentioned at the start, right? It's like, I'm going out now and we're going to have fun with these guys, and that's I think that's an important mindset to have.
Definitely, I agree.
I do have a question for Winnie though, because I know you do a lot of activities. So for Elaine and Jose, because Winnie dance, you sing, you have like talent, you go to like the legal stuff. What do you think is the experience that so what do you think is the activity that actually allowed you to make the closest friendships or bonds? Because you mentioned living together, which I think we can all somewhat relate, but in terms of like external or social activity, what's created the best experiences for you?
I think most of the times that the friendships that I make becomes closer are through projects. So I do a lot of artistic performing arts projects. I think usually those are the projects that I feel that my friendships are more meaningful. And because the feeling of completing a certain show or being able to deliver a nice group work out to a good amount of audience and being able to complete a task, like be it like a small or a significant one, because we have shows ranging from small studio shows to shows that are being put out in the art center in the Midlands. So I think whatever the scale is, I think every single time after finishing a show and knowing that we've done it together, it's everything's a collective thing. That feeling is the most beautiful, I think, and the best way to really create that bond between you and other friends. So I think even if it's not artistic, people go on basketball tournaments or boxing or debates, even like it could be like academics, sports, entertainment, whatever. I think the friendships that you build after completing a project, a collective thing, is it could get really emotional, and that's when you start to feel like you're bonding with people and making a good friendship with people. Yeah.
You have to go through the emotional roller coaster together multiple
Yeah.
times to really
Yeah.
kind of dig
I
in.
think
I
like
agree.
yeah, even if you're a person who's doing a startup and you've gone through it for several years and you've reached a certain level of success in your career, I think that's also some accomplishments that you've made with your teammates, with Jose, with Elaine. And I think you guys would also feel like you have a good, relationship. And yeah, that's one of the things that I think it's a good way to build a friendship.
I hope, Elaine, you don't feel like you're a robot working for the venture, right? Elaine is muted because there's a vacuum cleaner in the background. So I realized Friday is.
And she's like just typing, no,
Yeah.
I don't feel like a robot.
Friday is cleaning day at the new office. I just
I
realized.
see.
I think that's interesting. I guess the same as you mentioned. Me and Jose, we went through that year and a half in Shanghai. It was just a total unknown, I think, to both of us. Just the whole setting and what we had to do or what was expected, and I think that created the experience for, like, the things we talk about now is totally different to the things we talk about. Well, not totally, but somewhat different to what we talk about.
Overlapping parts.
There's still some common grounds, but at school it was like that was the whole world. So we just talked about the people we know, the tasks, what we had to do. Now, obviously, it's a bit broader. There's family. There's the venture. It's just, it evolves, which is, I think, what makes maintaining friendship.
Definitely.
There's the mode which we talk about, but there's also the basis, the content of what we actually communicate. I think that evolves as well. So
Definitely.
Wing, actually, do you mind sharing with us when you were still working in other big corporates back then? How did you make friends in an office setting, or you didn't really, because you were like, as you mentioned before, you're like more the result-oriented, achievement-driven kind of type. So like, how did you bond with like people in the new job setting, for example? Can you share with us that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I went to multiple geographies and offices, because part of my role was to rotate and meet these people and build a bond with them. I found it really hard at the start because, like, by nature, one of my roles was very people didn't like us because we were treated. They perceived us to be treated a little bit better than most other employees. So then you naturally face an uphill battle as soon as you join a new team. I think what I did was, I think work-wise, to build connections with someone, you have to be decent and responsible and just respect the role that you're in, because otherwise it does affect people around you. If you don't do that, I think no matter how great a person you are, you do hear people say that that's a great person, I like him or her, but they're just causing me so much trouble at work, which is the premise of why we're here. So I think that's important. And then secondly, I think I actually carve out, like, or I kind of purposefully kind of split. I know there are people that I will stay in touch after work or outside of work. To be honest, I try to avoid having too much work connections with those people, even within the same office. Because when you work with someone, there's bound to be conflict. It's especially the corporate nature is a lot. I always say it's a lot about value claiming. Whereas if there's a pie and everyone is going to claim a piece of the pie, that's your role essentially. There's competition, whether it's with external or a little bit like internally as well. So I do try and avoid being in situations where you're too involved or you're a direct competitor with that person. Having said that, I mean, I remember in my grad program there was me and another guy in that went to the same team, and he's basically the guy I pretty much still stay in touch with, the only guy I still stay in touch with. So I think it's personality as well. If you see something bigger than just what's in front of you, I know the friendship is going to be much more than who gets the next promotion or whatever the KPI is then. And I actually spend a lot less time thinking about how to maintain friends. So I know I realize how every one of you touched on how you maintain friends. I think that for me, I think it's more, I don't know if my friends like it, but it's more spontaneous. I think like Jose knows this, like sometimes I just give him a bunch of stuff, and then sometimes I just go, he doesn't hear from me for like 2 or 3 months. But when I feel like connecting with this person, I'll just call them or I'll just message them. So I don't think that's the best way to do it, but it's I guess it worked for me so far. So.
Wing, I don't know if you want to share, but then do you remember we have a common friend? His strategy of keeping friendship is to maintain an Excel spreadsheet.
Honestly speaking, I don't think that's a bad idea because you do lose track of people, but I think doing it that way was very interesting. I mean, I think I keep a mental spreadsheet, if you know what I mean. What do you think about that, since you brought up the point?
I thought it was a bit extreme because it's really hard to define friendship on black and white sometimes. So like there's ought to be an emotional element to it. So it's not really just all the words to describe your friendship with other people.
Elaine's saying that he should insert an emotional attachment, emoji attachment to an Excel file. People should do that if they're using Excel files.
I guess that's an interesting question. How do you I don't know what the casual word is to say, but how do you aggregate your friends' kind of information and data? Like, I mean, do you classify it as these are my Warwick friends, these are my Siebes friends? Like, is it by the experience, or is it by like what they do now, or or the status? Like, do they have kids, or like, I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't intentionally categorize my friends, but I would definitely intuitively know that know where I've met them from. So but when you've graduated, or when all of your friends are out in the world and escaped that university bubble, then I think all of your friends are just friends, to be honest. They're just there as your support system, your person to rely on, or person to just, if you have friends abroad, you'd be like, oh, I'm planning to travel to this place sometime in the future, and they'll be like, yeah, I could accommodate you. So like a person to really reach out to when you have like plans and stuff.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm slightly different in that, like I subconsciously categorize my friends, but not in the sense that like I restrict them in any way. It's just I sort of because like they're all the way that they prefer to hang out there is quite different between them. So for me, it's like, when I feel like, I want to go to karaoke or something, then there's like that batch of friends. But then like I have other friends who don't like to hang out via karaoke. So it's like, I guess I categorize my friends in terms of like how they like to hang out and stuff, or like who is comfortable with hearing me vent and stuff. Because I feel like even some of my close friends, they're just not great. Like, I don't want to say they're not great listeners, but it's just that they just, I think they feel pressurized to listen to me.
Right.
They're like, I want to help you solve it, but I don't know what to say, that sort of thing.
I get you. Yeah, I do have like a karaoke bunch of friends, a Korean barbecue bunch of friends, and like or like musical bunch of friends. Yeah, I do get what you mean. Like we have like these are, yeah, I think these are the categories that I would have in a friend and friendships. But like in terms of like hanging out, like the activities that we do is sort of the category that I might categorize our friends in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one of the useful ways of why I would categorize friends is like you mentioned how you meet friends of friends. So sometimes when you organize those kind of meetups, you know, kind of certain people would bond better. I think that's the only time when it really triggers me. I'm like, oh, if I invite someone for dinner, and especially now it's actually harder because of all this handjoining. Like, if you want to meet new people and there's only 4 of you, like you're gonna make sure that dynamic is not weird, because otherwise you can't really get away for the whole 2 hours. So I think that would be the one way why I would have this kind of mental map of, you know, the type of friends that you have.
So yeah, so like that's it for today. Hope you guys who are at home watching this found this helpful. And yeah, stay safe, and remember, feeling lonely wherever you are, like no matter how many friends you have, is very normal, and you're definitely not alone in feeling lonely. And remember, these feelings are just temporary. So yeah, hope you guys stay safe, both mentally and physically, and see you again next week.
The cleaning lady has starred in this quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Can you see?
The best extra.
Right.